Hi guys, welcome to Storytime with Kitara. Welcome to Storytime with me. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe so that you can get to know me through my stories, be it fictional or real life stories, so that you can also learn one or two things just in case you relate with my content. Please share so that somebody else who's not familiar with my channel can also tune in and learn something from my stories. Like and comment. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for today's story. If you haven't already subscribed, if I just lift my head, what is up with this light? Please pardon my lighting today. Like, it's just, and I'm like, ugh, my baby is just shooting high up. It's shooting high up. As you've already seen from the title, guys, I want to share my story today about how I met my real father. Truth be told, I don't even know if this man is actually my real dad. Like, only God knows. And the day when I met this man, I'm sure when God just saw me with this man that day, he was just like, that is not your father, Kat. That's not your father. I don't. So now you are wondering, like, what does she mean she's not sure? How can she not know her father? So what happened is, I've never met this man, like, ever since I was born or even before I was born. Because, I mean, kids, babies get to know their parents whilst they're in their womb, right? I never ever, I don't remember hearing this man's voice in my womb. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Like, do you think that's actually something that a baby can remember? Like, oh yeah, I used to hear this man's voice in my womb. Okay, jokes aside, but what happened is what I've been told so far. I don't know if it's true or not because you know how parents are, right? So what I was told is that this person that impregnated her, after finding out that she was pregnant, fled away. They fled away. I don't really remember the reason she told me because I was really young, but she just told me like he left. He left. Like he just left anyway. You know how men are, right? This is not a shock. It's not a surprise. This is something that happens each and every day. It's not news to us, especially here in Africa. So this man fled. He ran away. Yeah, after finding out that my mama was pregnant, right? So that's how come I don't know my dad. Okay, let me not even say my dad because dad is too special of a word. That's how come I don't know my father. If you're wondering, like, what does she mean? So I never ever met him, beat through the womb. Okay, let me stop this womb joke. um Never ever met him. I only knew my mom. That I only knew that I have a mother, and I never ever asked like my father because my mom told me about it straight away. So parents never ever keep such sensitive information from your kids. It's best when you tell your kids something whilst they're still young, so that they know about it as they're growing, and not when somebody is old enough to understand and they ask like, how come I don't have a father? And then you start explaining it. No. Oh, I grew up without a father. Okay, I only knew my mother and my grandparent. I only knew my mom's husband, who was my stepdad at the time. Okay, that stepdad story is a story for another day. That one is a story for another day. But I was really young. If I ever tell that stepdad story, then it would just be in bits because I was really young and I can only remember like clips of it right now. I can't go into detail, but I think I will share it just for the sake of story time with me, okay? Whilst growing up, my mom told me about my father. I grew up knowing little parts of him. So I knew, like, she told me his name, although my grand and my uncle gave me a different name. So I don't know. I don't know what's up with these people. Maybe they were trying to like hide his identity from me because they knew I would look for him. You know how it is with kids. Like, even though you know your father deserted you, he's your father. He's still your father, right? So I'm sure they knew maybe I would like look for him one day. So they kept on giving me different names, but the surname was all the same. So yeah, so I knew this man by his names, and my mom would always make jokes. I remember before she passed, she was like, "You should be careful. Like when you grow up and you start dating, you might actually marry your own father." at the time I was still young, trust me, so I didn't really process it. But as I got older, I was like, really, mom? I think if she was still alive right now, I'd have told her, like, that was a very bad joke, mom, because these things do happen for real. Like, what if? Because I once saw a story, anyways, on YouTube where two siblings, because of how cruel this world is, their parents passed away, and these two siblings, brother and sister, were separated. Like one of them said staying with their grandparents, the other one with the uncle. But I wondered, anyways, like how come the grandparents and this uncle weren't getting along? Because this story goes on to say these siblings actually met and got married, and after having 4 kids is when they actually realized that they were related, and they didn't care. They continued being married to each other because they are already married. I don't know, like what would you really do if that happens to you? But I feel like it's not their fault anyways. I feel like it's the elderly people's faults, because if these two are separated at a very young age and they forgot about each other, like they didn't know each other that well, why didn't these older people like introduce him to say, this is your sister, she lives with her uncle, with your uncle, or hey, this is your brother, he lives with me, I'm your grandma or I'm your grandpa. So that joke, mom, was very, very dry. It wasn't nice anyways. That wasn't a nice joke, mommy. On what happened is I was just having like a tough time overall, and I decided to move away from the person I was living with for various reasons. If you haven't watched my video as to what prompted me to move away from my relatives, please go watch so that you get a better understanding. So I moved out from my relative's place and I just moved out on my own. But before I moved out on my own, like owning my own house, I was living with friends, right? So, usually when you're going through a tough time, you really need a strong support, which is your family. Family, it's God first, then your family, okay? This is the advice I'm giving to you. Like, the strongest support you can ever have is God and your family. I would just say, since I didn't have like a family that I would turn to for them to help me out, I started thinking of my father now. Like, I just started thinking of him to say, why did this man leave? How can someone be that heartless? I feel like for me, it would really pain me, like to leave someone who's my flesh and someone who, because naturally, because naturally the way it is as a human being, love is natural for your family members. You don't need to be taught like, hey, you need to love your father, you need to love your daughter, you need to love your mother. It's just natural, right? How do you leave someone who you care about? So I started thinking of those things and I was like, you know what, this shit I'm going through, if I had my own parents, I wasn't going to be going through this. So at the time, since mom wasn't alive, I started thinking of my father. I was like, because I said earlier to say, I don't know if what I was told was true. So usually, especially women, they usually tell false stories about their husbands if it didn't work out. Maybe what if they lied to this child to say, no, your father deserted us. But actually, what if they were the problem? Or maybe it wasn't your mother. What if it was your grandparents' problem? Maybe they didn't approve of that man. He wasn't fit for your mom. So I told myself I need to find this man if he's alive, and I need to hear it from him. Like, why did he decide to leave me? And now I'm in this situation. Like, I was just angry about it. Like, if I had my own parents, I wouldn't be going through this. You know how it is, like, if you have your own people, even if you're not financially stable, you're all good. Trust me. So I started thinking about it. Like, if I had my own dad right now, even though mom is not alive right now, I wasn't going to be in this shit. I wasn't going to be this broken mentally. I wasn't going to be this helpless. So I remember the names I was taught, and I started searching for this man. Mostly people are always on Facebook, especially elderly people. They love Facebook so much. So what I decided to do is I went on Facebook and I started searching for those names that I had in mind, because I was told different names. I searched for both names, and I texted all of those people who had those names on Facebook. I gave them a short backstory. I actually introduced myself and said my names are this, and this. My mom's names was this, and this. Do you remember her? Because I knew if I found my father, this man, just upon hearing my mother's names, I'm sure he was going to know who I am. So I introduced myself and I mentioned my mother's names, and they started responding. And the responses weren't good. It was just, no, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, I don't know, no, I'm sorry, I don't know, no, I'm sorry, I don't know. Until after some days, this person responds, and they're like, oh my God. Yeah, so this man responded, he was like, oh my goodness, of course I know her. And he mentioned my grandpa's names. And I didn't mention like where my grandpa lives, but this person mentions to say, this is your grandpa's name and he used to live here, right? And I was like, this is the Bish. I was like, this is him. But in this moment, I wasn't upset at all. I was happy. Like, I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, I found my father. Like, I was genuinely happy, not even like with any motive, like, oh yeah, now I found him, like now he's gonna support me or whatever. I was just like genuinely happy. Oh, wow, I found you, like, Playboy. I found you, Playboy. You thought you were gonna hide away from me, but I found you, Playboy. So I found my father. Hi guys, thank you so much for watching part 1 of how I met my father. Please ensure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can watch my part 2 of how it went with my father.